Not too bad considering that I was overweight on Philly and Colorado in tournaments, but cash games went well. Um, Manually breaking my model and forcing in Domingo Herman played out well. Getting to Chris Davis and cash is always a fun time when he hits a home run. So, yeah, overall it went pretty well. What about you? Nice. There you go. Yep. Wheeler. Yeah. Yep. He looked really good too. Like I mean I think he's yeah. Like I think I mean I've always thought he's good, but like he looked really good. Like sitting 99 in like the fifth and sixth inning and then just like dropping off 12-6 curveballs.
You guys hear me now, guys? I guess I don't know how I did it, but I muted my microphone, but not with the mute button.
Yeah, say I could hear you.
Yeah, and so it was only muted in OBS. Just assume that everything I said was really like good quality
Yeah.
stuff. You'll have to go back and read my lips. Guys, you don't have to tell me to read the chat. The chat is 20 seconds behind. By the time I saw it, I fixed it, and then 27 people had to tell me that I was muted. Yeah. Trust, we all knew at the same time. Yeah, there we go. Everybody just tagging us here. What's up, everybody?
This is why I don't read the chat.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go through all the normal plugs. First and foremost, shout out to Yahoo Sports, our presenting sponsor for this show, the Deeper Dive, and for the Early Bird podcast. I have now played 2 straight days on Yahoo. I am enjoying it very much. I'm in their tournament, their $10 tournament again today. Could not be happier with how it's going. 2 straight days of success. That's really all that matters.
If Josh can win, anyone can win.
Exactly.
That should be their new motto for their DFS product.
We could talk to them. Tom, if you're listening, can you see if they can get that as their new tag? I dropped a link in the chat. If you would like to try out Yahoo, please use that link. That is very beneficial to us if you do that. You can use the promo code AWESEMO. You can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points, as good as cash for entering tournaments. Don't have to worry about running up against 150 lineups from other people. It's a 10 max site, no CSV imports. You're doing all of that stuff manually, and I really like the structure. I missed playing on 2-pitcher sites, so that's been fun. It really changes up the strategy and the roster construction. So I'm going to be there every day if you want to come join me, but please use the link that I just dropped into YouTube chat. That would help us out a ton. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. Lots of fun stuff coming out. So now's a great time to join up with us. And hit that like button. Dave, no, it was Dave. Dave says hit that like button, people. Stealing my tagline, my other tagline. But really, you should. It's very helpful. Likes and subscriptions to the channel allow us to grow and allow us to do more content and have more people around to do content. So the more you guys help us, the more it'll help you in the long run. Split slate, 7 games early, 7 games late. You ready to tackle this stuff?
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'm going to grab the early slate ownership right now, which is up courtesy of Tom. So thank you to Tom. Wanted to play FanDuel today on the early, but I'm not playing the 3-gamer. So I am making my DraftKings debut today. The Mini Max, I'm coming for it.
Dude, so it was posted yesterday. I actually was able to see the Mini Max on DraftKings, the 73-cent one. And I was like, I don't know why I can see this in my lobby, but maybe some weird exception. So I registered it, and I was talking trash to people in Slack that I was going to beat them in the Mini Max. And then at some point during the day, DraftKings went in and unregistered off, and I wasn't allowed to play it.
Nah, well, that's not cool.
Yeah,
wait, how much did you say it was?
73 cents.
What am I missing?
They're doing some weird, like, you talking about the price?
Yeah.
They're doing some weird, like, record breaker week where you get
so it's like Bonds home runs.
Yeah, but like all their stuff's been like $7.62 or $7.30, and yeah.
Apparently, DraftKings not having any issues whatsoever with PEDs.
Yeah, Saturday they have like a $762 tournament, so that's been like a week long thing. But I thought there was some. They teased me with the mini max yesterday, like I was gonna be able to play it.
They do one for Pete Rose hits. I want to know. I want to know where their moral compass lies. Any Ty Cobb type tournaments? Because
Right.
that dude's the real piece of garbage in the background of MLB that no one talks about. But Barry Bonds rubbed cream on his butt, so we can't ever speak about him again. But Ty Cobb, just a legit horrible person who I believe murdered someone.
Probably.
Allegedly. I think I'm right. Like Jimmy Snuka. Horrible people. Indians and Marlins. It's a great start. 4.6 run implied total for the Indians. 3.4 for the Marlins. It's a 63% chance to win for the Indians. Jeffrey Rodriguez going for Cleveland. Sandy Alcantara, who I feel like pitches for the Marlins every single day. Rodriguez getting quite a bit of love on the early on DK. 26% expected ownership, 12% on FanDuel. How do you feel about Rodriguez?
I hate playing guys like I hate playing him and guys like him when they're chalk. Like he has good stuff, but he has absolutely no idea where the hell it's going. And I don't care. Like, yeah, Miami's really, really bad, and so I understand why he's popular. He's cheap. He's facing a bad team. He's not like he has talent, but guys like that when they're popular, especially on websites, talking about like DraftKings and the scoring there, where it is the two pitcher site, like so much can go wrong. I think he's a perfectly fine play because Miami's so bad. It's just like I don't feel comfortable about it.
Yeah, I mean, he grades out as my best DraftKings pitcher as like a pay down SP2. So I understand why he's getting ownership, both his stuff and the fact that Miami's bad, but 26% on a 7-gamer for him seems like a lot. Like,
yeah, he's the guy where if we had him projected for low ownership, I would be like, get Jeffrey Rodriguez in your lineups. But
yeah,
it's just again, I don't think it's a bad play or anything like that. It's just like it doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, and we have Anibal Sanchez, $400 cheaper than him at 4% ownership. I mean, I don't think that the gap between the two is all that huge, but we will get there eventually.
One of them is pitching in Coors Field, though.
It's true. Any Alcantara?
I think he's interesting. Like I think he's good. Like his stuff is good, and he's given up basically no power to lefties in terms of expected ISO. Obviously pitching his home games in Miami will limit the actual ISO, but since last season he has a .075 expected ISO to left-handed hitters, a 280 expected WOBA, 10.5% swinging strike percentage. I think he's decent. Like I wouldn't be looking there in cash games, but in tournaments, like Cleveland has a 4.9 implied run total. So people are going to go to Cleveland and more importantly, they're going to stay away from Alcantara. It's still not a great Cleveland lineup. Like you have Lindor back, you have Kipnis back, but so it's deeper, but it's still not great. I don't mind having some in tournaments.
Okay. I don't love the price tag. He's getting no ownership whatsoever. It's just a really tough spot for all of it. I wouldn't mind having I assume I'll have a couple lineups with him on DraftKings, but I just don't know how he pays this off here against Cleveland. The chances of getting a win are very minimal. Not a ton of strikeouts at the top of this projected lineup. Lindor, Ramirez, Santana, all really good at not striking out. So he's got me a little nervous.
Yeah, it's more like it's like a talent play for me. I think he's better than a $7,400 pitcher, but there's plenty of things not to like about the spot, and it's probably kind of tough to get there on the slate. So it's not like someone that I would expect to get a lot of exposure to. It's just that I think he's better than the price tag.
Seth tagged me in hockey. Ty Cobb was actually slandered by his autobiographer. A lot of the stuff wasn't true. You cannot get slandered by an autobiographer. You would be the person that wrote that. So pretty sure you got that one wrong. I know what you mean, but I'm clearly got to point out the fact that you were incorrect in typing that, because that's the type of person that I am. How do you feel about Indians bats here? Not getting any real exposure on the DK side. And the highest owned guy on DraftKings in this game is actually Curtis Granderson. So talk to me a little bit about the Indians' bats.
Yeah, not really getting there for me. They're not super inexpensive. And like I said, I think Alcantara's a good pitcher, and he does a good job of limiting power. When he does get in trouble, it's normally walks. And so that doesn't really do you a whole lot of good when you're talking about one-offs. If you wanted the full stack, that becomes kind of appealing because, there is a chance that he just doesn't throw strikes and he puts extra guys on base, and then you get into Miami's bullpen, which is a good place to be. But, as far as targeting one-offs here, I'm not really that interested in it.
DK, 5 max hitters, right, in a stack? I haven't run any DK crunches this year, so I don't know if they've changed anything.
Yeah. 5 man.
Okay.
Yep.
Manage between FanDuel at 4 and Yahoo at 6. It's just like I can't keep track of this stuff if I'm not actively playing on it.
I found out on air the other day with you, I think, that FanDuel changed their stacking a year ago.
Yeah, like I don't remember it anymore. It's just like a part of my day-to-day. I don't think about it. I just know what the button clicks are that work.
Yeah. So now I know that when I play on FanDuel next month, when I'm allowed to deposit again, that I can stop clicking the include pitchers button because I don't want to be including pitchers.
Yeah, I do not click that button either.
Yeah, well, I did because I thought that they were included because they were included 2 years ago.
Sure. Wow, is this legit? I might have to adjust my Blake Snell. We'll get to that, I guess. Right now. Well, do you have any Marlins bats that you want to recommend other than Curtis Granderson? Because I think we're on the same page here.
No.
14% ownership to Lindor, 12 to Ramirez, 16% to Granderson. Those are the 3 bats that are standing out here, and those are the 3 bats that grade out best for me. I would prefer the Marlins top to the Indians, actually, on FanDuel. I think they grade out a little bit better as a value play. I don't really have much else to say here for Indians Marlins.
Me neither.
All right. Rays and Royals. 5.1 implied total for the Rays. 3.4 for the Royals. 68% chance to win for the Rays. Blake Snell back on the hill for Tampa after breaking his toe, dropping some sort of like household decoration on it, which super sucks for him. Jacob Junis going for KC. Blake Snell is 50% owned on FanDuel in the 3-gamer, 56% owned on DraftKings. Look, I love Blake Snell here. This should be no surprise. He's clearly the best option of anybody. How long is he pitching in this game?
I would assume his normal amount.
Okay.
Like, he wasn't out long.
10 days, 13 days, something like that?
Yeah, it was a toe injury.
Yeah. So I gave him 6 1/3.
What'd you say?
I gave him 6 1/3.
Well, yeah, I mean, that seems fine. Like, what do you normally give him?
I would give him 6 1/3. Like, okay, I gave him 6 1/3, and that is independent of knowing anything about him.
Okay,
I know if he's limited or if they've said anything.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen anything. My assumption is that he's fine.
Okay. So then I assume we both see this as a spot where Blake Snell should smash the Royals.
Yes. Really good pitcher, really good park, not particularly good opposing offense, not particularly good pitching slate, not super expensive. I have no reasons not to like Blake Snell.
Yeah. He's just on a separate tier today. I have his odds of hitting his target score on DraftKings at 42.4%. Next closest is Erman Marquez at just under 8. So he's like five times more likely to get there.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with a 3.4 run implied total for the Royals, a massive strikeout rate for Blake Snell, and a swing-happy Kansas City team.
I'm seeing Kansas City at 2.9, by the way.
Even better.
Yeah.
I do enter these at like 6:45 or so a.m., so they move by the time we get to this point. So when I was setting my exposure caps, and the reason that I was thinking about this, my cap for Blake Snell on DK today, 119%, blowing through the top end.
So just keep max entering stuff as long as you can up until lock with Blake Snell and everything.
Yes. I mean, I won't I don't expect to get him regardless at 100%. Just knowing that he can is. Oh, we just got the Rays lineup. I'm not going to go grab that or anything because I don't even know who's in the current one. But just in case anybody's curious, we just got it. Is there any limit to the amount of Blake Snell you would have? Like, you don't care where the public is, do you?
No, not at all. The only thing that would limit my Blake Snell is if I find an article saying that he's throwing like 70 pitches or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. There's just no one else that is comparable to him today. Like, I love Herman Marquez. Him in Colorado, and I'm going to have him. I don't care that he's in Colorado. I don't care that he's playing Washington. But both of those factors limit the amount of Herman Marquez I want to have in comparison to Blake Snell.
Yeah, and so also I just found an article on Snell, and my interpretation of it is that he is good to go. So it says he threw 18 pitches off a mound on Saturday. He threw an 8-pitch bullpen session on Monday. It felt good, and I'm ready to go. Snell said, I know the first couple of days it was like no shot. I feel good. I feel like I can pitch and feel like I can run. It should be good. Wednesday is a day that all of us believe in and think I'll be 100%. Kevin Cash said he's confident that Snell is not facing any additional risks taking the mound and that he does not need a full-length bullpen session. If Blake waits, then we're talking about shaving more pitches off his outing. So it was either pitch or go to rehab.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, then I'm happy with 6 1/3.
Yeah.
Snell has averaged 5.9 innings per start over the last calendar year. And I feel pretty comfortable going a bit above that average when you're playing a team that has an aggregate 88 weighted runs created plus.
That's probably a good idea.
Yep. So get your Blake Snell, everybody. Don't worry about it. If you're playing cash, don't overthink it.
How is he at holding runners? I'm pulling that up now. I assume he's good.
I just always assume every lefty is, even though that's not the case.
It's not, but so do I.
I never even think about it. It's just like, oh, he's probably good at it. I picture everybody being Andy Pettit.
Yeah, exactly. The only reason I thought about it was just because Kansas City.
Sure.
You
tell me.
Line up with Terrence Gore in it and thought about it. So where
Merrifield, Hamilton, Mondesi is the projected 1, 2, 3 today.
Yeah, with Gore at the bottom.
Man, the Royals are certainly zigging while everybody else zags.
Yeah. So he was actually below average last year. He allowed 13 stolen bases in 180 innings. His RSB was -1. This year it's 1, but it's 4 starts. So
yeah, he's pretty long to the plate, isn't he?
Thinking about it, that would make sense. And he's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks like an average to slightly above average running spot for Kansas City. Yeah. I still doubt that they get enough base runners for it to matter. Yeah. But if you're trying to figure out how Blake Snell doesn't have a good game, it's probably because a couple guys get like bullshit hits and then steal bases, and suddenly there's 2 guys in scoring position for the next like ground ball single, and that's 2 runs.
Yeah, I'm with you. Do you have any interest whatsoever in Junis? He's got 14% expected ownership on DraftKings right now.
Not really. I mean, I don't think it's a good park for him. Like, I love the idea of taking him in Tampa because he basically strikes you out or gives up a long fly ball, and Tampa does a good job of keeping those in the park. But it's still a Tampa lineup that I have a lot of respect for. It's not a super appealing price tag on Junis. And yeah, so I mean, he's 8,500. If you're going to take a risk on someone, why not just take Marquez at 9K? He's clearly the better pitcher out of the two. There's other cheap pitchers you can go to. I don't think I get to much Junis. I'd rather go to some of the Tampa bats.
I agree. Gonna have to update or increase those exposures. I got 19 lineups to crunch out before it was like, yo, you're gonna need a pitcher that isn't Blake Snell. Any interest in the Rays bats? They're not getting too much love on DK. Brandon Lau in the leadoff spot as a second baseman is always going to be appealing. Joey Wendell getting a little bit of love, 12% expected ownership. And then the Royals have nobody whatsoever.
Yeah, I think Wendell is interesting as like a cashy type guy just because he's cheap and he has multi-position eligibility, at least on DraftKings. So it's – and by cashy, like I hate using that phrasing because I strongly believe that there is like one optimal cash lineup. There aren't like multiple cash plays at a position. But I haven't made that cash lineup, so I don't know what I think it is. He's the type of guy that can very easily fill out a cash lineup for you. Like I know I had him in cash last night just because of the price tag in the position. So that's what I mean by that. But he doesn't strike out. He gets on base. He's probably hitting the middle of the order.
Yeah.
He's cheap.
And getting ownership, which is not something that I like require in a cash lineup, but it makes me feel like I'm on the right direction.
Right. Yeah, when I like make my cash lineup and then I go and I look at our ownership projections and most of my lineup is like at the top. I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track.
Yeah, if you open it up and it's like 2, 3, 3,
Right.
2, you're like, this might not be as cashy as I thought it was.
Right.
Okay. Favorite Royals bat? Mondesi?
Either him or Merrifield, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't have much else to say here. I think Junis is fine, which makes me not that interested in the Rays, even though this is a very advantageous matchup for the Rays from a runs perspective.
I'm running a quick StatCast search on Tampa right now because just going from memory, I think they faced some slider pitchers recently, like that rely on it heavily. And they have some guys, if I remember right, that actually post really good numbers. And if that's the case, that would be a problem for Junis because his fastball is trash and he basically relies on getting you out with his slider. If I remember right, Yandy Diaz has a really high expected WOBA. I think that Tommy Pham has ridiculous power numbers, which would make him a really good one-off play. But I'm just pulling those up real quick to double check that.
What are you looking up for Pham?
I'm just looking up Tampa's numbers against right-handed sliders because that's the only plus pitch that Junis has. Okay. Like, if you have a team that actually hits that pitch well, he's in a lot of trouble. And they faced a few guys like that recently. So I think that they had success. Like since 2017, Yandy Diaz has a 419 expected WOBA against right-handed sliders at 51 balls in play. Tommy Pham, 187 balls in play, 345 expected WOBA. Aviseo Garcia's at 352. So it's like pitch type wise, it's not the best matchup for Junis, but it's also a spot where I think you can target one-offs here because Diaz has a 292 ISO, Garcia's at 271, Pham's at 207 against the only pitch that Junis throws that's actually a good pitch.
Good to know, man. That's why we pay you the big bucks. Bring the good stuff.
Yeah, so
I don't have that information.
Tommy Pham home run incoming.
There we go. Moving on. I don't have any more on Rays Royals.
Me neither.
Cardinals and Brewers, 4.8 run implied total for the Cards, 4.2 for the Brew Crew, 55% chance to win for St. Louis. Adam Wainwright on the hill for the Cardinals, Julius Chassin going for Milwaukee. Both of these starters at roughly 15% expected ownership on DraftKings, both at 8% on FanDuel. I prefer Chassin to Wainwright, but I don't really care much about either one of these guys. Are either one of them jumping out for you?
No, I'm on pretty much the same page. If you had told me that Chassin was like 5% or something like that, I would have said that I really liked him as a pivot to Jeffrey Rodriguez. But if he's 15 and Rodriguez is 26, I am perfectly fine just taking the guy against the Marlins. Yeah. Chassin is basically lights out against right-handed hitters throughout his career and in recent seasons, but it's still a really talented Cardinals lineup with a lot of really good right-handed hitters. So, if I'm not getting a big ownership discount, I don't really feel the need to be seeking him out. And then on the other side, Wainwright, his overall numbers this year are okay, but they're also buoyed by one start, his second of the season. I don't remember who it was against, with like a 16% swinging strike rate and like a 40% strikeout percentage or something like that. Overall, he's still been nothing special. So I don't really like him in a spot against Milwaukee. He has a 5.7% swinging strike percentage to lefties so far this year. He's allowed a 296 expected ISO, 398 expected WOBA. I would rather go to guys like Yelich, Grandal, if he's in the lineup, Travis Shaw, who seems like he has remembered how to hit again, than go to Wainwright.
Yeah, Shaw, 3 home runs in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Coming around.
Speaking of cash plays and tournament plays, but he's $3,300 on DraftKings.
Yeah. Again, not a lot of ownership going to Cards and Brewers. Carpenter, chalky on DraftKings, 4,200. He's 42% owned on FanDuel at 3,100. No issues whatsoever playing Matt Carpenter. He continues to be one of the better cash third base options, or cash options just in general, every day. Lots of love for the Brewers on FanDuel. Again, not so much on DraftKings. 6% to Yelich, 10 to Grandal, 1% to Ryan Braun, 8% to Travis Shaw. I had a lot of them yesterday. It didn't really work out for me, but I'm gonna have a lot of Brewers again. It's not the best stack just because it's 3 outfielders in your first 4, so it's not as easy to get to, but I will always be taking my chances on these guys with massive power. It really sucks that Moustakas isn't in the lineup.
Yeah, and also, like left-handed power is where I really expect teams to be able to get to Wainwright more so than anything else. But yeah, that Travis tag is just egregious. Like 33 on DraftKings, 24 on FanDuel. You mentioned Carpenter's price being really nice, and it is. But I still, if you're talking like an optimal play, I don't know how you get to him over Travis Shaw.
In a tournament, I agree. In cash, I don't necessarily agree.
In cash, I would still go Shaw. Unless, like, I just can't do anything with that $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with Shaw, knowing that I had the extra money, but I would prefer to have Carpenter just, lead off. I have him projected better. Shaw kind of profiles more as a better tournament play than I don't know. They actually probably profile pretty similarly. The extra plate appearances are really what I would be wanting to get there. I think hitting at the very top of an order is significantly more important in cash than GPPs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have their projections in front of me, and I assume I have Carpenter projected higher in raw points.
Yeah.
I just, like, if I can get anything with that money, I'd be very willing to sacrifice it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so like Shaw and Carpenter, like I have Carpenter at 9. This will be a good example. I have Carpenter at 9. I have Shaw at 7.8, but based on target score percentage, they are equal if I use that as a value calculation. So per dollar, they have the same sort of target score chances. So that makes perfect sense to me. Any other Brewers bats that stand out to you? Man, Yelich 5,800 is craziness, but he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get the Yelich, go for it. Grandal, I don't know if he'll be in the lineup with it being a day game, but yesterday Pena was in the lineup, so Grandal should be in there. He's a clear top catcher option here.
Yeah, I agree. Do I? Travis Wade just said, "God, I hate the way Josh says tournament." Still love you though.
You say tour instead of tour?
Yeah.
Tournament.
Yeah. Am I wrong?
I think it's just it's one of those words.
Okay. I've never crossed my mind. I mean, that's one that's.
You're probably right when you think about it. Like the word TOUR is not like I don't pronounce that tur.
Right.
But I pronounce the word tournament.
Okay. Yeah, and I've never really thought about that one. Will never break. That one's just however I've said it for 34 years. So, or 30 years, however long I've been saying that word. Probably not at 4.
I'll say, did you not talk until you were 4?
I wasn't saying tournament when I was 4.
Yeah.
I was. I would be probably that guy on Jeopardy that's whooping everybody's ass.
Dude, that is insane to watch.
Like, we watched it. My wife and I have watched it the last 2 nights.
Yeah,
it makes me feel bad that I'm tuning into Jeopardy, but
well, I mean, I like Jeopardy anyway. I like trivia. I wish I was better at it. But like just watching it, I don't know, it's entertaining to me. And like even you can see kind of like some of the strategy stuff too. Like I know he talked about like how he approaches daily doubles and how when you're getting even money on something that you're expected to get right, you should be doubling every time. Or almost every time. But like I'd even noticed a couple of times, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I think it would make sense. Like, how when you get a question wrong, Alex Trebek will start like explaining the answer.
Yeah.
But like James will just cut him off and like start with the next category like that he wants to pick. But it makes sense because like if you have an edge on someone, you should be getting as many questions in as you can and not letting Alex Trebek talk about like right answers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been fun to watch because like there's actually someone clearly taking strategy stands.
It's fascinating to watch. I mean, he put a thumping on people last night, 100 and something thousand, broke 1 million in like 14 days. So I said this last night. They're going to have to ask him to leave, right? There's no situation where he loses.
Right, I was gonna say, what's their? Because I know it used to be like you could be on for a week or something. I don't know what their
Ken
thing is
Jennings
now.
was on for like 90 shows or something, I think.
Okay, yeah, so he's never gonna lose. They're gonna have to like buy this guy out. Be like, here's $10 million. Stop playing our game.
Yeah. Ken Jennings was a 74-time champion.
Wow.
And this guy is at like 14 or so.
Yeah.
And he's made $1 million.
Did you see the Ken Jennings tweet? I retweeted it yesterday.
I didn't.
I don't remember it verbatim, but it was something along the lines of like, I feel like it really goes overlooked how my small, like, reasonably sized bets saved Jeopardy some money.
This was my next question. How much time each day do you think he has to spend practicing for this, or studying, whatever word you want to use?
You mean practicing is in like clicking a buzzer quickly, or like studying?
Studying.
I don't know. I always wonder that, because like, what are you studying at this point? You either know the stuff or you don't. Like, do they give categories ahead of time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So I mean, without something, like, what's he doing? Just reading the encyclopedia to study?
Maybe.
I mean, you probably just like know stuff.
Sure. So what I was thinking of, I was like, let's say that he puts 4 hours into it each day, where like he just wakes up at 9 o'clock, and from 9 o'clock until 1 o'clock, it's just studying for Jeopardy. He's averaging like $80,000 a show. He's just basically created himself a job,
Right.
with like a really crazy hourly rate, and he can ride that till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Because like 4 hours is nothing if you know that like I'm gonna put 4 hours in, film a show for let's say an hour, and I'm gonna make $80K for 5 hours worth of work.
Right. It's incredible. Did you see his interview talking about like if he played Ken Jennings one-on-one?
No.
He said that he thinks he'd be a dog. He said that it would be close, but that he said Ken Jennings is better at trivia than he is, and that he doesn't think his advantage as far as being willing to make huge bets would carry that much weight in that format. So he thinks he'd be a dog to Ken Jennings.
Interesting. I mean, they're probably going to do that, right?
You would think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would guess both of them would want to do it, but he's going to thump people until they have to ask him to leave. I was trying to think of what the line is on that, like before it starts. It's just like, this is Karen. She's a librarian from Des Moines, Iowa. And it's like, oh, lady, you're going to get smacked here. Like, this dude has made the last 15 years of his life just like trying to beat people at things.
Right.
I remember reading him. He has like articles in the Hardball Times and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. He was a part of Tango Tigers Forum for a while, but he has a couple articles in some of the old Hardball Times annuals.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think we're done on Cardinals Brewers, right? We got off topic
done on
there,
Jeopardy, done on Cardinals Brewers.
Well, I mean, this guy is mildly in our wheelhouse. He's
was
a baseball writer at the minimum.
That was one of the more relevant, completely off-topic tangents we've gone on.
It's fun to watch. Rockies and Nats. 5.7 run implied total for the Rockies, 4.8 for the Nats. 58% chance to win for Colorado. Herman Marquez going for the Rockies. Anibal Sanchez going for the Nats. On a different day, I would be heavily touting Herman Marquez. Today's not that day because of Blake Snell. So I think Marquez is the second best pitching option on the DraftKings slate. It's only getting 16% ownership, which I find appealing. So I'll
second best pitching option is in second best pitcher you should be rostering today, or second best pitching option is in second most talented pitcher?
Both.
Okay, because I definitely think he's the second or first most talented pitcher, but I don't know. Like, I have Snell, and then I have cheap guys, and then I have Marquez.
Oh, so I have Marquez ahead of cheap guys, even relative to salary.
Okay.
I certainly like him at 16% ownership here.
Yeah, that's appealing for sure.
And Anibal Sanchez at 4, I like a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously don't like the spot for Sanchez, but I don't think
at all.
Bad. And again, it's a 7-game slate, so you get concentrated ownership. You know that it's going to go to Colorado with their 5.8 implied total. He's cheap enough where he can give up some runs and still be fine at 6,200. Like, he can beat Jeffrey Rodriguez even if he's not perfect. Like, Jeffrey Rodriguez can easily score 8 points.
Yeah,
and just wins with 12. So it does have merit there as leverage in your non-Rocky stacks. Like if you stack, I don't know, if you stack the Brewers, the Brewers being a team where you still need to save some money at pitcher because you need to get Christian Yelich in there. The easiest way for you to win the tournament is for the Brewers to outscore the Rockies. And if the Rockies don't score runs, it's because Animal Sanchez didn't give up runs. So you kind of just use Sanchez to create a narrative where you win the tournament with the least amount of things having to break your way possible.
Yep, and that's the only reason that I would be keying on Anibal Sanchez here. 26-4 is the relationship of ownership between Rodriguez and Sanchez. I don't think that Rodriguez beats him 7 out of 8 times, or
Right.
whatever that percentage is off the top of my head. It's just not going to happen like that. So, while playing Anibal Sanchez against the Rockies and Coors is not a dream scenario, he's also 6,200 and at 4% ownership. And I'm trying to win the tournament, not trying to pick the best players.
Right. Yeah. Baseball tournaments, especially, but DFS in general, it's important to remember you're not trying to be right the highest percentage of the time. You're trying to maximize your wins when other people are wrong.
Yep.
And so that leads you to a lot of times taking, plays that aren't going to be right that often.
Bingo. I think I actually have a DraftKings crunch finished. Nope, stopped at 99 lineups. Gonna have to look at my exposures. But it was at 99% Blake Snell. All right, so let's talk Rockies bats. They are unsurprisingly the chalkiest stack of the day. They grade out pretty clearly as my top stack. I don't have any problem getting away from them, even though they're popular. Do you?
No,
wait, hold on. I said that wrong. I don't have any problem having them, even though they're popular.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I do have a problem getting away from them. Yeah. But yeah, not a good Nats bullpen either, which is important to keep in mind here. It's a spot that could just really blow up in the Rockies' favor. So yeah, they're really popular. You can be contrarian elsewhere in lineups. You probably just don't want to have Jeffrey Rodriguez, Snell, and then a Rocky stack,
right?
Because you're playing against a lot of people with that.
Very true. Very true. And yeah, that's going to be. I mean, that Snell, Rodriguez, Rockies will be the popular cash construction.
Right. And so, I mean, one quick way to just, if you were hand building a lineup and that's what you wanted to do was, play the Rockies and play Rodriguez and an ace pitcher, that's where you can get to Marquez.
Yep.
You make Snell Marquez, you get that ownership pivot, but you also add a little bit of positive correlation to your lineup because, I don't care much about getting pitchers with my stacks, but you do get a little bit of positive correlation if you stack the Rockies with Marquez that you wouldn't get if you had Snell. You save $1,400 so you can get a better Rockies bat in your stack. That's the kind of spot where Marquez becomes a good option to me.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff you need to be thinking about in tournaments.
Especially single entry 3 max stuff. People ask about that a lot because you and I both play, max entry. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I enter my single entry 3 max, and it might be a leak, but I kind of just play my top ranked lineups.
Same.
That I made. But if I were a 3 max player and focusing on those, that's the kind of stuff you want to be thinking about to basically maximize those 3 lineups that you're playing and your potential upside.
Yeah, it's mostly just one switch or potentially 2 switches. It's not I'm in 3 max, so I need to have this laundry list of different stuff. It's one move at pitcher is probably enough.
Right.
Any particular Rocky bats that stand out most to you?
Black Mandel, Arenado, Story, McMahon.
Yeah, I agree. Hard not to agree.
Oh, and Ian Desmond's really cheap.
Ooh, I finally was able to run 250 lineups here for drafting. Where do you land on the lineups thing?
Lineups.
Okay.
I wanted to kill you for the entire first 3 months we worked together.
I guess I'm glad it stopped.
Oh, it did? I didn't notice. But
I meant that you didn't want to kill me any longer.
Oh. I thought you meant you stopped saying it.
I don't like using... here's my stance on it. I don't like saying lineups in baseball because baseball has lineups. And it confuses the terminology. That's why I like lines in baseball in particular.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate it. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I don't notice it as much anymore because I do so many shows with you. But like it for a long time, it was like if someone said it to me in a question or said it in person, it was just like everything stopped and I just like froze.
Not to mention, I feel like I can convert you on this one. So much of it is lines, simply because to me they are lines. Like it's just lines of of a spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, you're not converting me on that one.
No,
No,
try to
line up,
remove the human element from all of this.
line up.
Yeah, worth a shot. All right, Nats bats. Obviously, a matchup with Marquez is less appealing. The Nats are still quite popular. Kurt Suzuki projected for 23% ownership. Juan Soto at 23% ownership. A couple other guys in the north of 10. I like the Nats a little bit. I certainly like them less than I like the Rockies. Do you plan on focusing on the Nats against Marquez?
My expectation is that the Nats would be the team where a lot of times when I crunch my lineups and then rank them to factor in ownership, a lot of times my top projected stack, which in this case would be the Rockies, I still get them, even if they're popular. But then I end up kind of just kicking out the second most popular stack, even if I like them, based on projections, and replacing them with teams, in this case like the Brewers or other teams. I expect that would be the case here, where I still get a lot of Rockies, and then the Nats are kind of the team where I take a stand. Like, okay, hopefully they don't light up Marquez, and I can get overweight on several other teams instead of being on the Nats.
Okay. I'm trying to look at my crunch right now to see if I got to a lot of Nats, but I don't expect that I did.
Like an example of that, the other day, the Astros were in a really good spot, and I crunched my lineups, and I saw that I had Houston. Like Colorado was my highest owned 5-man stack. Houston was my second highest owned, and I was like, okay, so I'm cool with that. I sort my lineups, I put them in, and then after lock, I looked to see what I had, and I had like literally zero Houston exposure because it had just kicked out like all of my Houston stacks in favor of other teams. That's kind of what I would expect to happen here with the Nats, where like the Rockies are just my number one, and then the Nats become other stuff.
Okay. Favorite Nats bat?
Soto.
Okay. Same answer. All right, A's and Rangers. 5-run implied total for the A's, 4.4 for the Rangers, 57% chance to win for Oakland. Aaron Brooks on the hill for the A's. Kyle Dowdy going for Texas, whatever that is. 10% expected ownership to Brooks. We don't have any on Dowdy, and I don't expect that he should be getting too much love, other than the fact that he is the flat minimum 4K for a pitcher. Are you looking at Brooks at all? I see this as not a pitching matchup I care about.
Yeah, same here. Dowdy's pitched 4 games, all in relief. He's thrown 10 innings, so I don't expect him to go deep.
No.
And Brooks, I don't think is the worst pitcher, but I do prefer him against right-handed hitters, and I am scared of him against left-handed power. And we know that the Rangers have a lot of left-handed power. He has a 4.9% swinging strike percentage to lefties this year, 217 expected ISO. And when you're facing guys like Chu and Mazzara and Gallo and Cabrera, and you're pitching to contact, and you're not getting ground balls, a 17.7 average launch angle against lefties, that can lead to a lot of trouble. I actually kind of like the idea of Texas as a contrarian stack here.
Highest ownership to a Rangers bat in this game on DraftKings is 9% to Mazzara.
Yeah, their prices are bad. Yeah. I mean, they are too expensive, but that just means that people aren't going to play them. They have a 4 implied run total, and you have a $5,400 hitter in the lineup.
Yeah, and that Mazzara price is just silly. Yeah. That's way too low. The Rangers don't grade out all that well for me. I expect to use them more outside of a full stack, like a lot more 2-man or 3-man pieces of the Rangers than the full 5.
Yeah, that's a good call too. Like, leverage, high upside leverage plays. Like, it is a ballpark downgrade. They do, they have a 4 implied run total. It's the perfectly fine Oakland bullpen, but getting a home run from Gallo at low ownership, or getting a home run from Chu or Cabrera or something like that, is certainly something that wouldn't be surprising against Brooks.
Yeah, like Gallo's projected for 6% ownership. I don't care that he's playing in Oakland.
Or that he's incredibly expensive.
Yeah, I love the idea of having Gallo as like a one-off outfielder if I have the money left over.
As a side note, that's something to keep in mind too when you're talking about one-offs and ballparks. And it's something that you can find on StatCast if you're so inclined. But you can, like on StatCast, you can pull up their spray charts and actually overlay it onto whatever park they're playing in. So obviously, it doesn't take into account the way the ball carries in that park, but it at least gives you the dimensions.
Yeah.
Joey Gallo, he makes contact, can hit the ball to the moon. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like his,
he's not the guy you need to do this for.
Right.
His power translates to all parks, even like
right.
What was that? Like was it the Polo Grounds that was like 700 to center or something stupid back in the day?
Yeah, like he doesn't hit wall scrapers. Like he benefits from playing in Texas, but he doesn't like he's not like Christian Yelich, where it was very obvious he was going to start hitting a ton of home runs once he got out of Miami.
Right.
If Joey Gallo hits the ball in Oakland, he's going to hit it over the fence, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're looking at this for more like Mazzara or Chu. These guys where like, it's going to be a lot tighter.
Right, those guys, like the balls that they hit well a lot of the time here are still going to be doubles and not home runs.
Yep. Yeah, Gallo doesn't care. It's going to be in the parking lot. Right. So A's bats actually the second chalkiest stack behind the Rockies, which is interesting to me because I have, on a dollar for dollar basis, I have the Rays 8th. So how do you feel about the A's here?
I like them because, for one, they're affordable. You know, you look at their price. If you just look at their prices compared to Texas, they're cheaper, and they have a 5+ implied run total against a reliever who isn't stretched out and doesn't appear to be anything special, and then a bad Texas bullpen. So I like them. Again, it's not a great ballpark, but I think that the price tags are really fair. There's nobody in the lineup above 4,700 on DraftKings, and you get cheap guys like Morales and Piscotty, Profar, so Laureano, like they're all cheap. So I do like Oakland quite a bit.
Okay, I mean, I don't have any personal stance on Kyle Dowdy, but Steamer has him 8.5 or 8.7 Ks per nine, 3.3 walks, and a 398 FIP. Now I know that all needs to be converted to reliever rates instead of starter rates because he projects as a reliever in Steamer. So 398 as a reliever for a FIP is not the same as 398 for a starter. It would be higher.
Right.
So like he's average-ish. So the real play is coming into what you think the Rangers bullpen is going to be.
Yeah,
for sure. So I think that's probably part of why I'm a little bit more muted on the A's.
And for what it's worth, Dowdy at AAA last year, 18.7% strikeout percentage, 18.6 in his 10 innings so far this year with Texas.
I just got tagged in something. Joey Gallo has 96 career home runs and not one sacrifice fly. I actually think that he just got the sacrifice fly like 2 or 3 days ago.
He did. It was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Or wait, no. It was either him or Chapman.
I think it was Gallo, and I think it was a couple days ago, but I could be wrong.
Well, I remember I know what you're talking about, and because I was watching the game, and I didn't get the context of what they were talking about, but I remember the commentator being like, "Oh, and he just got a sac fly like right in front of Joey Gallo or something like that." So yeah, I don't know. That may have happened, but there was definitely something that happened in that game 2 days ago.
Oh man, everybody is roasting Legalized in chat right now. He's going crazy, I think.
Why? And you're right, he did get it 2 days ago.
Nice. Nailed it. Favorite A's bat?
Favorite A's bat is always Chris Davis.
Agreed. Yeah, I assume that I don't get to much A's, and this is like my one different spot for the early. Oh, YouTube chat just getting to the Gallo sacrifice fly part. So now we know how long that takes. Let's move on. I've been slow here. We're gonna cruise through the main slate. We're gonna have a deeper dive show. We're gonna have live before lock. There's gonna be plenty of coverage to the late games, but with a 7-game early slate, this is gonna be the priority for this show. Padres and Mariners, 4.4 run implied total for the Padres, 3.6 for the Mariners. 60% chance to win for the Pods. It's Chris Paddock going for San Diego. Felix Hernandez going for Seattle. Felix Hernandez, 15% expected ownership on DK. Paddock just 6. I have Paddock miles ahead of him. The only issue is Chris Paddock is 9,900 today. How do you feel about Paddock or Felix, I guess?
It's really tough for me to get the Paddock at that price because, I think he's good, but I don't think he's a better pitcher than Herman Marquez. Obviously, the park's better, but there are concerns about how deep he goes into games. It's not a bad Mariners lineup. It's more like I'm not interested in the Mariners particularly, but I wouldn't see myself getting to a lot of Paddock. And I sure as hell don't see myself getting to a lot of Fernandez. I'd rather be going to, Padres, whether it's stacks or one offs. You have power with guys like Manny Machado, Franmil Reyes, assuming he's in the lineup, still really cheap. And as predicted by basically everyone in the industry, he is now converting his 500-mile-per-hour flyouts to home runs. So he's a high upside play. I would rather take some bats against Felix.
Yeah, same. Padres are 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 5th in ownership on DraftKings, but they actually grade out as my number 4 stack. I had quite a bit of them last night. That Franmil Reyes double dong helped propel me in some tournaments, but man, now that's in my head, I'm not going to be able to say that word again. I didn't realize how much I say tournament. Yeah, tournament. I want to find out what the Latin root of that is. I really like the Padres here. Felix sucks. The fact that he's 15% owned is a crime. I'm going to have a lot of Padres.
Yeah, I wish I was getting them in a lot of stacks last night, and then I cut them back a little bit because I had Swanson under projected a little bit, and so I went ahead and assumed that was over projecting the Padres, and wish I'd left that alone. But it's another good spot for them here. Felix sucks, like you said, and they do have some good hitters. I think there's still a tendency for people to just pile on and take pitchers against the Padres because of what they've been for the last couple of years, and there are still some strikeouts in the lineup. But for one, there aren't as many strikeouts as there used to be, and for two, there's a lot more power mixed in.
Yeah, for sure. Favorite Padres bat today?
Reyes.
Okay. Machado for me.
High power. What did you say?
Machado,
yeah. I mean,
4,300 only. That's not bad at all.
So the thing with Machado, though, is Arenado's the third baseman. Carpenter's that same price point.
Yeah.
Shaw's the third baseman. And I like Reyes here because he is a high strikeout guy with a ton of power. And I just love rostering guys like that against pitchers who don't miss bats. And you have a 7% swinging strike rate from Felix against righties this year. I love Franmil Reyes.
So do I. Hope I have a little bit of them many double dongs again. 5% ownership for Reyes today, by the way. Any Mariners bats?
No. Paddock has good stuff. The Mariners aren't cheap. Padres bullpen's pretty good. If Paddock gets in trouble, it's normally because he's walking guys more so than anything. Jay Bruce might not even be in the lineup. I don't really have any interest.
Dan Vogelbach, 18% expected ownership.
On what site?
DraftKings.
He's $4,800.
He must be projecting really high. I had to guess. Popular in the industry, that Dan Vogelbach.
Yeah.
All right, final game of the early slate for DK. Blue Jays and Giants. I believe this is 4.3 for the Jays, 4.3 for the Giants. This is a coin flip game. Clay Buchholz going for Toronto. Drew Pomeranz going for San Francisco. Pomeranz at 16% expected ownership, 8% on DK. I pretty much agree with those numbers, and I find both guys to be meh. I don't have any hot takes on either one of them. If they show up in lineups, it's cool, but Buchholz is bad. He used to be so good.
Yeah, he's okay. I have more interest in Pomeranz. The fastball velocity looks pretty good. He hasn't been bad this year from a strikeout standpoint. And Toronto, I don't think, is very good. There's not a lot that you have to worry about in this lineup. Grichuk and Hernandez obviously have power from the right side. Smoke is worse as a right-handed hitter from the power perspective. Ballpark downgrade for Palm, but I just like the strikeout upside that he provides here at a very reasonable price tag. I think that I would rather get to him than any other SP2. I like him more than Alcantara. I like him more than Junis. He's similar to Rodriguez, I think, when you factor in price. Yeah, so I like Palm quite a bit.
He grades out okay for me. If I hop back, like I prefer Snell, Paddock, Marquez, Junis, so that doesn't help matters. And then I'd rather go all the way down to Rodriguez or Sanchez. So he kind of just gets caught in no man's land.
Yeah, I can see that happening where like just getting down to that Rodriguez range gets me more. But if I end up somewhere between like a Rodriguez and a Marquez, I expect that Pomeranz would be the guy.
That's a fantastic question in Slack right there. Whew.
I don't believe you. I didn't see the question, but I don't believe you.
It's a reasonable question now. It would have been a really weird question 5 days ago. How do you feel about Jays and Giants bats here? I have the Giants pretty significantly ahead. And a lot of that is just lumped into Posey, Belt, Longoria.
Right. I don't like them as much as I liked them yesterday. I think Buchholz is okay at limiting damage. He's not a high strikeout guy, but doesn't give up a ton of power. 110 expected ISO to lefty since last season. Brandon Belt, I still really like. He's still really cheap. It's still a park upgrade. Posey's a cheap catching option. I would just rather play Travis Shaw than Evan Longoria, but Longoria is fine. So not a ton of interest in either side here, outside of like Posey because of his position and Belt one-offs because he's a really good hitter.
Oh man, if you don't have Slack open, you're missing out. Premium Slack, everybody. You can join in on the ridiculous conversation that's going on right now if you use the promo code MLB Strategy. One big word. You'll have 50% off your first month with us. Slack is a place where amazing things happen.
Am I going to baseball?
Yes.
Channel?
I mean, you just look at the most recent thing that Strafford tagged me in and just assume that the rest of this last 15 minutes is comparable. It's just one of those days, man. One of those squirrely Wednesdays. All right, that's the early slate. Basically, the summary is Blake Snell is pretty clearly the best starter. If you need to get different in single entry or 3 max, pretty natural way to pivot there is going to be dropping to Germán Marquez. Rockies are, I would say, by all accounts, the clear best stack. How you fill out the rest of your lineup will be the key. Bingo. We are done. Let's hop over and take a quick lap through the main slate. Not going to be the same level of detail just because we're going to have 2 more hours worth of coverage. We will have the deep dive article as well. So this slate will get some exhaustive coverage from now until the end of the day.
So Slack is like just very slowly opening up for me right now, and I can't wait for it to finish loading.
Oh, it's gonna be. You're gonna scroll back and be like, "Oh, cool! I shouldn't have opened this." It's pretty much how I feel on a day-to-day basis. Oh my god, fantastic! All right, I've got everything updated for main slate. Let's refresh. Let's grab the ownership projections for main. DraftKings, got it. Luckily for us, we can talk about the main slate in the same way for all 3 sites. 7-gamer across the board. Very helpful. This is what I like best about all 3 sites. When everything lines up and we don't have to dance around different conversations about ownership. It's really hard to talk about. Alrighty, you ready?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm just reading.
I'm sure it's thrilling. Orioles and White Sox. Orioles 5.2 run implied total. White Sox 4.8. It's a 53% chance to win for the O's. John Means going for Baltimore. Irvin Santana going for the White Sox. I'm not going to play either of these pitchers. Are you?
No.
Okay.
Santana's not good. The Orioles, if they had more righties, maybe I'd be interested. But they actually have a pretty balanced lineup here. I'd much rather, once again, just like yesterday with Nova, I'd much rather be going to the cheap left-handed power on the Orioles that has issues making contact, but that does have power. Guys like Chris Davis, Rio Ruiz, Dwight Smith's expensive as hell, but he fits the category too.
I had quite a bit of Baltimore yesterday, which was fun when that started going really bonkers. VR grading out really well for me. Trey Mancini grading out really well for me. These guys are popular, man. Like, oddly, really popular. Well, not oddly, but the Orioles are the second most owned team on FanDuel and the fourth most owned team on DK, but one of 4 teams that have greater than 10% aggregate. So get me some O's bats. I love the renaissance of Chris Davis, or whatever word we want to use for it. The fact that he can get a hit, I guess, is sort of a renaissance.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it feels stupid to say it, but I'm actually pretty optimistic about Davis right now because before his hitless streak ended, he actually was A, hitting the ball hard, and B, hitting it the other way. And that's something that going back years for him, he's always been streaky, and you can kind of tell when he's gonna do well because it's when he's not pulling off of everything and he's actually driving the ball to like left center. His home run yesterday was into the bullpen in left center. Um, Santana doesn't miss bats. Davis is still really cheap. So, it sounds weird to say, but again, like Chris Davis isn't the hitter he was 3 or 4 years ago. He's also not as bad as he was, the last month of last year and the first month of this year.
No, that's very true. I like getting to the Orioles here, even if they are mildly chalky, although I will certainly not have as much. Most of the ownership is concentrated into like 4 main guys, so I expect to be slightly underweight there, maybe a little bit heavier on the other side. White Sox bats, also pretty much the same sort of popularity, which is exactly how this should be in this matchup. Jose Abreu, very, very popular and probably one of the better plays of the day, just because of the upside that his bat brings in a righty-lefty matchup. How do you feel about the White Sox?
I like it. Means is nothing special. He's also not very likely to go super deep into this game. Orioles bullpen is absolute trash. Abreu, the problem with the problem I have with the White Sox is their price tags have all come up, at least on DraftKings. Abreu's price is up. Moncada's 5,400 from his weak side. So, Timmy Anderson at 5,500. It's really tough to get to these guys.
Favorite Orioles bat?
Chris Davis.
Favorite White Sox bat?
Abreu. Wellington Castillo.
Okay. Castillo, 30% ownership. So if you're looking for a cash catcher play today, Wellington Castillo is probably your dude. 56% expected ownership for Castillo on Yahoo right now. $7 catcher option. Again, there's your cash play. If we're talking about Yahoo specifically here, I prefer the White Sox to the Orioles, but I will have a bit of both. No Christian Yelich in the Brewers lineup today.
All right, that downgrades Milwaukee quite a bit.
Yes, it does. Probably end up with more of them now, actually.
It makes it easier.
Yeah. Pirates and Diamondbacks. 4.1 run implied total for the Pirates, 3.8 for the D-backs, 52% chance to win. Jordan Lyles going for Pittsburgh. Merrill Kelly going for Arizona. I clearly have some sort of missing data here. Jordan Lyles, 26% ownership on DraftKings, 15 on Yahoo, where he's $32. Talk to me about Lyles here against the Diamondbacks.
Love him. I'm not planning on playing this slate tonight because I have to run errands and look at apartments during the day, but I might register it just so I can play a ton of Jordan Lyles. I missed out on it last game because he had weather issues, but he has always been a guy that was pretty good at limiting, preventing runs and limiting damage against him, but he didn't get a lot of strikeouts, didn't get a lot of swings and misses. His curveball this year has seemingly really, really improved, and it's leading to more swings and misses. Only 4.7% last game against the Giants, which is really bad, but 12.6% against the Cubs, 11.3% swinging strike rate against Cincinnati. Overall this season against lefties so far, a 13.5% swinging strike percentage, and against righties, 10.5%. He's throwing either his changeup or his curveball about 50% or 45% of the time to lefties, with a 14.5% swinging strike percentage on the curveball, 21% on the changeup. He's still affordable. The Diamondbacks aren't particularly good. It's a good park. I really, really like Jordan Lyles.
He grades out really well for me. The problem is he's like 5th, and he's kind of like the best pay down option, even though he's not really like a pay down option. It's the bottom of like the normal punty SB2 range today is dreadful.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
Yeah, bad matchups, mediocre at best pitchers.
Yeah. So I agree. Like, I like Lyles. He's about as good as it gets as you're moving down, and I wouldn't want to go to too much volume after that. But I feel like I would rather just take some of the garbage and hope for the best and save the money than play 26% of Lyles with the public. But I don't know how it's going to shake out by the time we get closer to lock. It's a really weird inflection point in salaries today that I'm not like, it's going to take some digging and seeing the construction to feel where I end up. It's just weird to me. Any interest in Merrill Kelly?
Not really.
I kind of like him as a Lyles pivot.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like, not really, but in the context of the slate, if you were looking for a Lyles pivot, it's perfectly fine. You know, some of the stuff that I liked about Lyles applies to Kelly. You know, it's a good park, and Pittsburgh, they don't strike out, but it's not the best offense either. I would much rather get to Lyles, though.
I agree. Lyles is ahead of Kelly for me, but if it's 26-6 in ownership and I'm making an individual decision, like here, this is another spot where just switching from Lyles to Kelly in a single entry tournament is probably better, or could be better, just because of ownership. Bats here basically don't exist. Neither team, well, Diamondbacks in particular, not very chalky. Pirates are getting some love right at the top. Frazier, Cabrera, Polanco on FanDuel. Less Cabrera on DK, a lot more Cervelli. Cervelli popular on Yahoo and DK as a catcher option. Do you want to get to any bats?
Not really. There's like Cervelli. Cervelli's fine because he's cheap, but I don't really love anyone from Pittsburgh.
I'm with you. Moving on. Mets and Phillies, 4.2 run implied total for the Mets, 4.4 for the Phils, 52% chance to win for Philadelphia. Jason Vargas going for New York. Vince Velasquez going for the Phillies. Phillies, this is kind of surprising to me. Not really getting much love from a stack perspective. At best, like average exposure. I really like the Phillies here. We had this conversation a little bit in Slack earlier today about Phillies bats. I love the top piece of this lineup: McCutchen, Real Muto, Harper, and Hoskins. You can add Franco to that on the DK side. FanDuel's fine too, but specifically on DK. Not getting much ownership at all. I really like the Phillies here against Vargas.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Vargas is particularly good. I don't think he's the worst pitcher in the world, but I just really like the guys at the top of the Philly lineup. They're good hitters. McCutchen, Real Muto, Harper, the guys you named, down to Franco. They're all good hitters. It sucks that they don't have Segura in there to make the lineup a little bit deeper, but those 5 guys are good. I will say though that on the other side, Vargas at 5,600 isn't really crazy on this slate. If you do need to dumpster dive for an SP2, you do have more strikeouts in this Philadelphia lineup the way it's currently constructed. And again, Vargas is just like a completely mediocre, below average, but not total gas can pitcher that can give you 5 innings and 12 points and get you some bats.
I expected Jason Vargas to get a lot more ownership today. He's only at 6%. I just assumed that number would go higher because he's like the guy that gets paid down for most, I think, in the league. So it was interesting to see that maybe public perception is starting to see these guys as relatively terrible options. Vargas is the guy that I would go to, but I really like the Phillies bats at the top.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I prefer the Phillies bats, and I'm hoping that, actually, I'm probably not playing the slate, but if I were, I'd be hoping that I didn't end up getting to a lot of Vargas.
Yeah.
But he's the guy where it's like, okay, do I want to go there? Do I want to go to Cole Stewart against the Astros? Do I want to go to Means? I think I would take my chances on Vargas, I guess.
Phillies are my number 2 stack dollar for dollar on FanDuel and number 2 on DraftKings. So we have very little aggregate ownership to these guys. I'll be 2 or 3 times the field. I have very little doubt. Any Vince Velasquez for you? It's $32 on Yahoo, getting 20% ownership. So I can understand that a bit. 9,200 on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. You a Velasquez guy?
On FanDuel and Yahoo, I like those prices. On DraftKings, not quite as much.
Yeah, I completely agree. The DK one, I'd rather have Erod $200 cheaper. I'd rather have Walker Buehler $200 more expensive. So it really gets hard to want to get to someone like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any more interest in taking Mets bats? I like the top of the order.
Well, I'm expecting Nimmo to be out of the lineup, so that weakens that. Cano, I think, is okay.
Did Nimmo get dinged up or something yesterday?
Yeah, he left yesterday's game with, I think, like a lower back strain or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's been like a walking injury so far this year, and he has another one. So if Nimmo's in the lineup, I like him. I like the price tag, and I assume if he's in the lineup, he's feeling perfectly fine. But assuming he's out, that just weakens the lineup. And you're most interested in like left-handed power bats against Velasquez, and that would take one of them away. Conforto's not really cheap. Cano is playing through an injury of his own, so I don't know. Not really that excited about the Mets.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree. If Nimmo's not in the lineup, they'll be hard to get to for me. Cantor33 in YouTube chat is saying oblique
for Nimmo.
Yeah. Well, I assume that or he's just saying oblique out of context. Red Sox and Tigers, 5.6 run implied total for the Red Sox, 3.9 for the Tigers, 67% chance to win for Boston. Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Sox, Tyson Ross going for the Tigers. Erod, 44% ownership on Yahoo, 25 on FanDuel, 39 on DraftKings. He is the second chalkiest pitcher on DK and the second chalkiest pitcher on FanDuel. I agree with it. He's the second ranked guy for me on both of those sites. So I can't really complain too much. He's also second for me on Yahoo, where he's second in ownership. I'm going to have some exposure to Erod. I'll probably be like a hair behind the field, but I like this spot. Lots of swing and miss in the Tigers lineup. And while I don't normally get very excited about having Eduardo Rodriguez, I'm fine with it on this particular slate.
Yeah, so am I. He's right up there with Verlander, and Lyles is my favorite pitching on the slate. At the ownership projections we have him at, you certainly, again, in like 3-max or whatever, you could just very easily make the case for like pivoting to Velasquez.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lower ceiling than Rodriguez. It's just he's less likely to get there because he's not facing the Tigers. But you do have some quality right-handed bats here hitting in a favorable park for right-handed power with Castellanos in particular, but Cabrera, Goodrum can do some damage. Candelario can do some damage. It's not a total cakewalk for Rodriguez, and he is relatively expensive. But that being said, he still projects as one of the best pitching options on the slate for me.
Yeah. I assume we both agree that we have no interest in Tyson Ross.
I do not. No.
Okay. Red Sox bats, very, very chalky on Yahoo. I have them as my number 2 stack, but they are the chalk stack. They are very chalky on FanDuel and chalky on DK. FanDuel, they are the number 1 stack. They're actually 4th for me, so I will certainly be at half the field at best. On DK, though, Red Sox are my number 1 stack, pricing just a little bit better. And they're only they're tied for second in ownership, so I like getting to Boston here on DraftKings a little bit more than I would on FanDuel. How do you feel about the Sox?
Just a really high upside spot too. Tyson Ross stuff-wise isn't bad at preventing power, but he can struggle to throw strikes. It's a weak Detroit bullpen that gives you upside throughout the game. He also, Tyson Ross, that is, struggles to hold runners throughout his career. I'm looking to see how he's been recently, but he's allowed 4 stolen bases already this season. He only allowed 6 last year, but so it's something he's improved on. Like, he used to be incredibly bad at it. Now he's just like bad, but it gives you stolen base upside for the guys in the Boston lineup speed in addition to all the power upside they have.
2-year contract extension to Ben Roethlisberger, if that matters to you at all.
Does not.
Favorite Red Sox bat?
Mookie at 4,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I have him and JD relatively equal, but Ty goes to the cheaper price tag.
Ty to the guy who's going to steal on Tyson Ross.
It'll also work. Well, actually, if I'm playing if I need to make one different play, Betts at 22% ownership, JD at 11. In a vacuum of one particular lineup, I would probably go to JD just to make that one switch, but they're the same to me.
Yep.
Jackie Bradley getting 29% ownership on Yahoo, $8 outfielder.
Yeah, that's cheap. 33 on DraftKings. It was really cheap.
Yeah. Any interest in the top of the Tigers order? I have quite a bit in Candelario, Castellanos, and Cabrera. Candelario in particular is massively different against lefties and righties. He has huge positive splits when he faces a left-hander. If he is leading off, he's a guy that I will have my eye on.
Yeah, they work obviously as leverage. They have enough power at the top. Castellanos is the one that I would be prioritizing the most. Just a really good overall hitter that I think people kind of don't realize how good he is because he's on the Tigers.
Yeah.
But, really good hitter in a park that plays up right-handed power. So he'd be my number one guy, but I'm with you. Like, you can get the Candelario also.
Yeah. Cool. 2,700 for Candelario on FanDuel for a third base option. 3,400 on DK. $12 on Yahoo. That's a fantastic. Like, he's 9% owned. I would say pretty confidently that if I were playing cash on Yahoo today, Candelario would be one of, if not my favorite cash play. If he continues to hit leadoff in this spot. If he's not leadoff, that changes things. But to get a leadoff hitter who is so significantly better against lefties and be on the road, so you're getting the ninth inning at bats if it needs to roll over one last time, and he's the direct benefactor of that. Paying off that $12 price tag makes it really easy. If he were like an outfielder and lumped into $12, it's one thing, but at third, I like it a lot.
Yeah,
that's a take that probably won't get said all that often today on shows.
Where, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but amongst qualified hitters last year, where did Castellanos rank in WRC plus? Or like, where do you think?
22nd.
26th. But yeah, so I mean, I just feel like he goes overlooked because he plays for Detroit.
Man, if I would have got that right.
Yeah, I would have assumed you had Fangraphs open. But yeah, Brandon Nimmo ranked 6th. That one shocked me.
That I would not have got.
Yeah, Trout, Betts, Martinez, Yelich, Bregman, Nimmo.
I want to say one of those things is not like the other, but I mean, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get Trout is less like the rest of those guys than Nimmo is to the other 6.
Right.
Alrighty, 3 games to go. Cubs and Dodgers. Did we get a total for this yet? Because I guessed this morning.
I see it at 4.1 and 4, so like 8.
Okay, so it's lower than I originally went with. Try to take a look at the wind and everything. Totals. Cubs, Dodgers, 8.5 with some shading to the under. I made it 9, so get 8.4. All right. Cubs 4.1 run implied total. Dodgers 4.3. 52% chance to win for the Dodgers. Cole Hamels going for the Cubs. Walker Buehler going for the Dodgers. Buehler and Hamels both getting around 20% ownership on the 2-pitcher sites, 10% on the single-pitcher sites. Do you have a preference between the two?
Not really. I don't love either one. I would like them if they were lower owned as like a pivot to Rodriguez, but that's a little bit higher than I'd like. I mean, the Cubs don't. I think both pitchers are good enough. I don't think either one is like elite, and I don't love the matchup for either one. So I'd be okay if I came in around the field on those guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if I came in under either. I don't have a huge preference. I guess Buehler just because he's cheaper and has a little bit better strikeout stuff.
Okay. I have Buehler a hair ahead of Hamels. They both grade out as my 3rd and 4th best pitching options on all 3 sites. I'll have exposure to them, but they are not my priorities. I don't have any real hot takes about them. They're just kind of good. Buehler has bigger stuff. Hamels has got the ability to just be a smarter pitcher over a 15-year career, however long he's been in the league at this point. Feels like 15 years. Sounds about right, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So what we really need to look at are bats. Dodgers getting quite a bit of love on both Yahoo and DraftKings. Little bit of love on FanDuel, but they are double, if not more, ownership than the Cubs side. So how do you feel about bats in this game in general, whether it's Cubs or Dodgers?
I mean, the Dodgers are free on DraftKings and I'm assuming Yahoo because of what you just said about their ownership.
Yes.
Yeah, and also Yahoo. But anytime you can get to hitters that are the quality of like AJ Pollock and Justin Turner and Seager, even though it's lefty for sub 4K price tags, it's pretty appealing. The issue with the Dodgers would be like you're probably going to have David Freese hitting in the middle of the order. He's most likely going to get pinch hit for as soon as Cole Hamels leaves the game, so that kind of kills your stack if he's in there. But you just have such high upside guys. Kike Hernandez also sub 4K. A legitimate guy with power that they're not pinch hitting for anymore. So that's nice. It's just getting like point per dollar ceiling to get hitters that are this good for this cheap is really appealing regardless of matchup.
Dodgers are 7th for me on FanDuel, 6th for me on DK relative to salary. That blew my mind. I was really surprised when I saw the DraftKings pricing that they didn't rank higher.
Yeah, that is surprising.
So I'll have exposure to the Dodgers. I'm going to have pieces of a lot of this game. But there are a couple bats I like for the cut. Like if I get any combination of Zobrist, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, Schwarber, I'm never upset. There's just so much power there, and if Zobrist is leading off, I'm cool to make those decisions. I'm just going to have like little bites of everything. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have volume to any part of this.
Yeah, that's the same here.
Kyle Schwarber, $8 outfielder on Yahoo. Don't be afraid to get that in your lineups. Walker Buehler's good, but $8 for Schwarber. I'll pay $8 for home run potential. 2 games to go. Astros and Twins, 5.2 run implied total for the Stros, 3.3 for the Twins. 70% chance to win for the Astros. Justin Verlander going for Houston. Cole Stewart, I believe, going for Minnesota. Stewart not a part of the Yahoo or FanDuel export that I can tell. Verlander's ownership. 53% on Yahoo, 56% on DraftKings, 38% on FanDuel. Verlander is in the Snell role from the early slate. He is many multiples better than every other option, in my opinion, and I want to have a ton of Justin Verlander. How do you feel about Verlander?
I'm right there with you. Taking guys against Minnesota scares the hell out of me because they're just a really, really annoying offense to take pitchers against because they have power and they have guys that don't strike out. But, Verlander, just in terms of talent, is on an entire different plane than Eduardo Rodriguez or Vince Velasquez or Bueller or Hamels, the other options on this slate. And it's not even like Hamels or Bueller have a great matchup either. So
Right.
Matchup factor against Minnesota gets downgraded a bit as well. Verlander is really good at getting swings and misses from left-handed hitters. So that's something else working in his favor. 15.8% swing strike percentage this season, 17.3% since last season against lefties. Really, really good pitcher.
Yeah, I have him projected for 9.1 Ks. Next closest guy is 6.7. It's just there's a chasm between them. Verlander hits his target score on FanDuel 44% of the time. Next closest is Erod at 11. Like I'm just gonna have a lot of Justin Verlander and I'm cool with it. I assume one of him or Snell kill me today, but I'm willing to die there. And I assume we're not taking Cole Stewart.
I'm pulling up his Fangraphs page because I remember I had a fairly strong opinion on him last year. I just don't remember what it was.
6.3 Ks per 9 and a 5.15 FIP via Steamer. I can't imagine your strong take is positive.
I think I liked him.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure you weren't thinking about just shopping at Kohl's?
Shouldn't
have laughed as much as you did. Even if it were fake, it was too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really interested in him here. The Astros are good. I just more want to remember why I had some interest in him.
I don't know.
Maybe I thought he was terrible. I don't know.
That seems like a more likely scenario. Astros getting a little bit of love as a stack. I'm not getting there. They're pretty expensive. Now, I never care that I get the Astros. Like, anytime that I get exposure to talented guys, I don't go out of my way to figure out why that's happening. But I don't see myself getting to a lot of Astros here, but they've got a couple guys in like the double digits in exposure. How do you feel about the Astros against Stewart? I guess we don't know, do we?
I feel strongly. I just don't know. No, I mean, I never have a problem getting to the Astros. They've been, kind of disappointing lately, but they have a ton of really good hitters in their lineup. If they're coming in at lower ownership than Boston, I don't think that they're really a worse play.
I have the like this is what's crazy. On FanDuel, I have the Astros as my second worst stack relative to salary. Only the Pirates below them.
So are you playing Cole Stewart?
No. No. Well, he's not even available on FanDuel.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change anything. He's at $0 and I still think I don't like him. On DK, the Astros are a little bit higher. They are 10th for me out of 14, but not going to have exposure to the Astros.
Hang on. So one thing to point out with Stewart. So he did have a good ground ball percentage last year in his 63 innings at AA.
Okay.
But I did find the other day when Houston faced Adrian Sampson, who I think is one of the worst pitchers to ever pitch. One of the weirdest StatCast searches that I can remember running was just looking to see how Houston did against 92 to 95 mile an hour two-seam fastball sinkers. The entire team has zero power against the pitch. They just don't elevate it. They don't do any damage against it. Stewart last season, the righties threw his two-seamer 45% of the time. He is a ground ball guy. Not a lot of swings and misses, but that would be a reason that I could find for why the Astros might underperform here.
There we go. That's pretty much why I wasn't getting to them.
Yeah,
I just already had that information in my head. I didn't articulate it as much. Tom Foltz sneaking into YouTube chat with a comment, and I'm going to need Tom to provide a link. He said, I'm sure you guys addressed this, but Snell will only be at 75 to 80 pitches. Does that change your take? It will change my take mildly if you can show me where you're seeing that.
Yeah, because I looked for that earlier.
Yeah. He's still probably the best pitcher on the slate.
Yeah.
But it does mute him a bit. So, yeah, Tom Foltz. Appreciate you dropping that in there if you have the ability to point us in that direction. Any Twins bats for you? They are getting zero love whatsoever, and I think that's probably fair.
No, I mean, if I took a one-off, it would probably be Nelly Cruz, but
I would take Kepler on FanDuel 3,200 if he's leading off, but I'm fine with Cruz as well. I don't need to target against Verlander. This is a very good piece of I don't need to stack the Twins against Verlander. I'd just rather fade Verlander, quote unquote. I have a source, Ray's beat writer. Does he have a name?
So the beat writer's not tweeting it. He's just telling this guy in YouTube chat.
Yeah, I don't know. You're not helping your cause, Tom Foltz. Final game, Angels and Yankees. Angels 4.3 run implied total. Yankees 4.1. 52% chance to win for the Angels. Felix Pena going for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. CC Sabathia going for the Yankees. No real issue getting to a little bit of Pena here since this Yankees lineup is not the typical Yankees lineup, but keep me away from CC.
Yeah, sorry, I'm reading Blake Snell articles now. But yeah, I mean, CC is not a bad pitcher. There's not a lot of good pitching on this slate. The Angels don't strike out. I don't see the upside for CC. But if I just need someone in that price range, then whatever.
Okay. Any Pena here? Do we know how the Yankees are against Pena's only pitch?
Clint Frazier is good against it, but I don't know if he'll be in the lineup.
Fair.
I do have some interest in Pena because it's a good park and because I certainly prefer him against right-handed hitters, which the Yankees have a lot of, and they don't have particularly good right-handed hitters. And outside of Frazier, you do get, some guys that Pena should be able to get a lot of swings and misses against. So if Frazier's in, I love him as a one-off, but I actually do have some interest in Pena as an SP too.
Brandon Furlow says, there's the news on Snell. Top end of 75, 80 pitches. The news still has not been shown to me. Tom Foltz said, Cash babies everyone and took him out after 85 pitches last start when he was cruising. I'm from Tampa. So.
Okay, so we don't have any information on Blake Snell.
Evidently, no. Shannon Lambert says, I live outside Denver, but have no idea how many pitches Marquez will throw today. Okay, Chris Hernandez, thank you very much. Mark Tompkin tweeted it out an hour ago. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. I don't care where you live in relative to this news, but saying Mark Tompkin did it is the way that you provide this information to the public. Mark Tompkin. That cannot be the account. I liked the tweet. I linked the tweet. Yeah, linked. I don't think you could post links in here. Mark Tompkin Rays.
Topkin, by the way. It's Topkin, by the way.
Oh, yes, it is. I don't see it in a tweet.
Maybe was it a reply? Oh, hang on. So I think he's guessing. So someone tweeted at him and said, do you think 75 to 80 pitches is realistically where Cash caps Snell today? And he said that's probably the top end or even high. Rays wanted him to pitch today to keep it to 11 days since last game, but also will be cautious.
Yeah, so I'm not changing anything that I thought about now.
Nope.
I don't know where this guy's trying to say that he lives, but Aaron Warnham says, how many pitches for Sidney Ponson today?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just to me, for one, that tweet sounds like complete speculation from the beat writer.
Yes.
And like, because we read that same article and took the exact opposite.
Right.
You know, but
Vots is saying 75 pitches is in the article.
No, it wasn't. Unless it's a different article.
With that much time off already, the Rays' concern was that going any longer would either limit his workload even more than it will be Wednesday, when 5 innings and 75 pitches might be a lot. Yeah, this seems just like speculation from the beat writer.
Right, like he could very easily just go, 6 innings or something, and they pull him. But there's no, I don't think there's some set number here.
I agree.
And if there is, nothing that is being posted actually gives what it is, because I don't care what some Tampa Bay beat writer thinks might happen.
Right. I do think it's relevant that Cash does pull him regularly. That is a piece. That is probably the biggest piece of information that isn't really like news or anything.
Right.
All right, let's close out Angels and Yankees here. Neither team getting a ton of love, whether that's pitching or hitting. Do you lean towards either one of these teams from a stack perspective?
No, I have respect for Sabathia as far as limiting damage goes. Obviously, Mike Trout's the exception to that, but I'm not really interested there. The Yankees don't have enough good hitters or left-handed power for me to really be looking to stack against Pena.
Yeah, I agree. Like Torres looks really good on DK for 3,900 with dual eligibility. I don't have any problem getting to like Luke Voit or Mike Ford, but there's not full stacks in this game for me.
Same.
There we go. We are done. 14 games up, 14 games down. We skipped the Braves-Reds game because that's not included in basically anything. You got anything else?
Nope.
Alrighty. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Shout out to Yahoo Sports for sponsoring this show. If you want to play on Yahoo, please follow the link that I'm dropping into chat right now. That is the way that you can help us out most. Won't change anything about the way that you would be playing. And you could use the promo code AWESEMO and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. So there's some benefit to you as well. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe so that you can get notifications about when we go live. Lofty will have the deep dive out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive will be back later today. And then live before lock tonight, myself and Jake. And if you're not done with content, then 9 o'clock tonight, Ben Rasa and Jason Roslin talking about the Euro Tours Hassan some other word 2 tournament. That's the best that I can do off the top of my head. But they'll be talking golf from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock tonight. So tune in for that as well. We are out of here. Thank you for joining us. Best of luck today. Bye.